So Cyberpunk 2077 was always a really strange beast that you either come to completely hate or just about tolerate anything that it has to throw at you. Case in point, today we found out from one of CDPR's own developers that the complete lack of one of the game's most important features, which is the police chase system, was nothing more than a design choice. All of that coupled with the fact that modders just achieved something incredible and brought to the game a feature that even CDPR themselves deemed to be too technically challenging for them, end of quote. So let's jump right into it. But let's begin with the good side of the news, because the modding scene for Cyberpunk 2077 has achieved something truly inspiring and implemented a fully functioning metro system in the game for the very first time. This is so well made and so well implemented that it just feels as a part of the full game. It's seamless, it works exactly as you would expect, and with just a couple of mods, it just looks like it belongs to the whole game installation. Now, unfortunately, it is only available for the PC version, and until maybe CDPR or maybe Sony or Microsoft brings modding to the consoles, you're kind of stuck with only playing this on the PC if you want to have it that way. By the way, if you are planning to play the game on the PC, there's a discount link down below that you can follow for a 70% discount in case you're looking to play Cyberpunk right now. But the metro system works pretty much as you would expect it to function. All you have to do is to look for any of these metro station control points or fast travel points on the map, as these will bring you to the metro stations, after which you can take up the carts and just have a city ride if you want to. As a matter of fact, there's also a pretty convenient interact button now added on the world map that will automatically place a pin to the closest station in case you're having trouble finding that in the first place. Once you're there, you will notice that there's a brand new interaction which finally gives you the possibility to go inside the interior of the stations themselves. I was again quite impressed by the fact that every single station and stop point had its very own area or zone, and I'm not sure if this was made possible by the mod or if these places were always available but inaccessible in game, but I was left speechless by how all immersive this feels. Now, at the same time, you can take the cart and this will bring you to the next station, and it's pretty much doing its own thing, but you do have some controls over the camera and your character's positioning. So just like in any other vehicle, you can also use the same button to change the camera from the first person view to the third person view, and also take like a backseat look at the city as it unfolds cinematically in front of you. Also, during the first person camera view, you can use your mouse wheel to change your seat so you can stay in front or in the back or on the side, and it's actually quite cinematic to stay in the back and kind of just look at the train as it's going on the tracks, and then the city kind of like all passing you by. Especially during the nighttime, it's a whole different experience. Now, of course, you will have even more control over the settings from the mod's own menu, including the train speed, which can be set to pretty high all the way up to quite low or anywhere in between if you just want a smooth ride. At the same time, you can also affect the money required per station. I've put it around $35 since I thought that that is a pretty decent cost for the amount of money that I have anyway. All the way to the elevator duration, I definitely recommend putting this to about 3 seconds, since it's nothing more than a teleportation, and the elevator ride over there is just to make things a little bit more seamless and immersive. But this kind of also invalidates the whole point that many of these features are too technically challenging to implement. I think it's not as much as the game or CDPR themselves not being capable of doing so, as much as it is the lack of time. I think that with enough time, they would be in fact capable of implementing these features in the game anyway, which also brings me to a pretty concerning point about the future of the game coming from the quest director over at CD Projekt Red, and he had to say this about the lack of the police/car chases systems in Cyberpunk 2077, so I will just roll the clip right now.
Why there are no much car chases or motorbikes in traffic, while every other open world game has this game mechanics? Well, I mean, Machiavelli, first of all, not every open world game, right? Because like, I don't think that Sonic the Chase game will have it, or the Elden Ring open world game will have it. And in this specific case, it was just a technical limitation.
So basically, the argument here is that, well, since there's other open world RPGs out there that also lack a police chase system, citing the most recent Elden Ring or some other Sonic games, well, why should Cyberpunk 2077 have it? And I think that this entire argument rests on a logical fallacy. On one side, because none of these games are even comparable. Like, why would a game like Elden Ring even feature cars in the first place, let alone car chases. At the same time, Elden Ring isn't even based in a futuristic city and it's more like a medieval setting, so again, really not comparable. But finally, I would even say that Elden Ring does indeed feature chases as far as chases as a mechanic go, and we've seen quite a few of these during the recent beta/demo that we had last month. So there's many enemies, many encounters and many bosses on horseback that will actively engage and chase the player for a pretty long time. Also, there's at least one boss encounter that we know of that will actively chase the player, and finally there's enemy caravans and patrols on the maps of Elden Ring. So again, no matter what point of view you look at, this argument simply doesn't stand. Now admittedly, he did later mention that this was all caused by technical limitations and the game's engine simply couldn't handle any of these police chases or more advanced AI. To which I raise another question, and that is, well, if CDPR wasn't capable of doing that with their own game, how is it possible that modders with limited access to resources and modding tools were able to implement these chases in the game for over 6 months at this point? We featured this in a previous video, but there's already a police chase system in the game that doesn't just extend to cars but also to bikes, and they actively shoot and try to stop you as you're doing it. So I'm not sure if this is as much of a technical limitation as it is just, you know, CDPR not having enough time and maybe concentrating on different things, but in all of these situations it should be a top priority. Like, features that make the city or the game setting more believable should always be a priority no matter what, but maybe that's just me. Totally let me know down below what is your opinion on this whole situation in the comments. In the meantime, of course, the game is probably not gonna get any new big updates or content at least until the start of 2022, but luckily that is just around the corner. So January and moving into February especially is going to be pretty interesting. We now know that despite of all of these delays, CD Projekt Red is aiming with some of the big content updates sometimes around the first part of 2022. So yeah, kind of looking forward to everything that the game has to it. I think that there's again a huge potential to finally make Cyberpunk 2077 as the game it was supposed to always be. And if these content updates will be significant or not, we will cover them here on this channel. So if you want to stay up to date with that, totally let me know by leaving a like on this video and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.